Hey y'all, I'm back. Dominique Murray, your host of Make It Happen Since the podcast. And on today's episode, I am excited to bring Miss Charmaine Turner to our guest chair. In a second, I'm going to have you do your elevator pitch. As you guys know, every week we have one of our members come on and discuss their business, their ventures, and then also we dive into a different topic. Today we're going to be talking about facing everything and overcoming, facing everything and just doing what you need to do to get yourself out there. So, Miss Charmaine, if you would like to give us your elevator pitch, please.
Yes, I don't even call it that. So I just tell you about me. So my name is Charmaine Turner. I am a certified life coach and wellness strategist. I help ambitious go-getters, as I call them, go-getting women to cultivate a lifestyle that honors their future, their family, and their finances by making health and wellness a priority. So in our fields, we don't do that. So the audience is prime for me. I have a lot of work to do. So
true.
Yes.
So true. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? So what does that look like exactly?
It means that we have to calm the chaos in our lives. I have created a mastery framework, and so that is what I utilize to help my clients. We have to address several different things. So I look at mindset, attitude, stress, time management, environment, relationships, and you, which means your self-care. So that is what I really dig deep in when I work with my clients. I have tears, I have hugs, I have all kinds of stuff. But at the end, I want to make sure that you can really live this life of your dreams without risking your health.
That is very important. And it's kind of crazy how all of those different things, they're all kind of like legs, and yes. If one of them is failing, that table's not going to be straight.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad to have you on to talk with us today. And I just want to dive in a little bit more about your career and kind of how you got to where you are. How did you get started as a life coach?
Well, we'll have to go back a little bit. I will say the catalyst for this was COVID.
Okay.
When COVID hit and I saw how many black and brown people were ill-equipped, they did not have any defense because so many had pre-existing conditions already. And so that was like the flashing light for me that went off. I've always been health-minded, but not to any extreme degree. And so when I saw, we all saw, we saw the world and the struggles, and I was like, you know what, we have to do more. And it started with me. So that is where I say God gave me Exalting Wellness, which is the name of my company, as I was walking around my kitchen, and it was like, okay, now I'm going into train mode. And so I started pursuing my degree in public health. Mm-hmm. And then I also got my certifications in life coaching and wellness coaching, holistic nutrition. I just really dove in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then so prior to COVID, before mm-hmm. that, what were you doing?
I was in the military. Mm-hmm. So I served 11 years in the Air Force. Loved my job. Life was good. I did what a lot of us do. We have these little symptoms and signs that something might be a little off, and we ignore them. I'm good. I'm fine. It's no problem. That showed up for me as migraine headaches. I was able to navigate it for a long time, and then it got debilitating. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where it interfered with my day-to-day. So I would go to the emergency room several times a month. That was the only way to deal with the migraines. And finally, thank you, Jesus, one doctor said, you know what, I've seen you too many times. We need to do more testing. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is I did an MRI. I got a phone call at Red Lobster one night. We were celebrating my son's 16th birthday. Mm-hmm. I stepped outside and the neurologist told me, you have lesions on your brain. And I stopped breathing. I was like, what does that mean? It sounds horrible. What does that mean for me? And he said, I think you have multiple sclerosis. And so I put my makeup back on and I went in and I celebrated my son's birthday like nothing was wrong. Wow. And just inside I was going crazy. And so that is what ended my career. Mm-hmm. And as we're talking about fear today, that's where the fear set in.
Yes. So I can imagine, and even just the strength to be able to, put the face back on, because we're moms, right? That's, yep. You got to go and not mess up his day.
Right.
Like, how, those next several months going after that, how did you face those fears? How did you navigate that?
The next several months were horrific. They were horrific because you're in limbo. So in the military, if you get a diagnosis, it's not like they're immediately going to come and say, okay, you have to retire or we're going to separate you. You have to go through a whole process. You don't know how long that process is going to be. So it took me almost a year to find out what my next steps were. Thank you, Jesus. I met this wonderful man before I got my diagnosis, and he saw how strong I was and how I was trying to hold everything together. And one day I just started kind of cracking. Like I say, the makeup I had some creases in my makeup, and he was like, stop. And he hugged me and he said, let it out. I'm here. We're doing this together. And then 3 months later, he proposed. And so I told him, you don't have to do this. Like, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'm going to be in a wheelchair or if I'm going to be able to walk. I don't know what's next. And he said, I don't care. We're going to do this together. So we navigated it together. It took counseling, much counseling. I advocate for counseling, much counseling, because I was depressed. I drank a lot to cope, and it wasn't wine. And it was the scariest time of my life, really. And so I got the final evaluation. We're going to medically retire you. Good luck. Hope you prepared yourself. And I was just like, what's next?
Yeah. And so that it's so crazy how kind of our stories are really aligned and similar and stuff, because I was also active duty and I was a Pebble, and I don't know if you remember. So I did the whole medical evaluation process, and I know how rough that can be. Like, my heart goes out to everyone going through that, because it's just like, you have this career, you have this plan, and it's like, wait, no, hold on.
Absolutely.
You're going to sit here while we figure something out. And that's definitely tough. And, I'm glad that you were able to, you have your partner there with you, and that is huge, right? Yes. And so, excuse me, lost my train of thought already. So, with that, let's kind of circle back to how you use that experience to, now you're life coaching, you're helping other women. What kind of recurring challenges do you see amongst your clients now?
I like to say that a diagnosis is an opportunity. First of all, I think you have to work on your mindset more than anything, because I have clients that have heart disease, that have lupus, that have kidney disease, that have diabetes. I have a range of clients that are struggling in different areas. And so the very first thing that we work on is mindset, because you have to have a growth mindset. You have to have a positive mindset, or chronic illness will get you. Depression is huge amongst people who are living with chronic illness. Chronic illness also includes mental health issues. That falls in alignment with that as well. So you have to work on your mindset. And so I had to say, okay, this is an opportunity for me, first, to slow down. Second, for me to take care of myself. In the military, I was go, 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 go. I was NCO of the year, volunteer of the year, booster club president, Airmen Against Drunk Driving. I worked for the SARC office. I did all of the things. They held my Master Sergeant stripe from me when I got this diagnosis. Wow. And so I was going. And it was like God said, you have plans, but my plans are better. And so I can now say I'm thankful for the diagnosis. There are so many people who are like, are you serious? Absolutely. Because I take better care of myself. And that is what I think makes me more relatable when it comes to clients, because I'm not teaching you something I learned in a book. I'm teaching you something I live every day. And you can't get that unless you're going through the experience. So that's what we work on.
And I appreciate you saying you live it every day. It's not something that, like, you did, you beat it, you're past it, and now you're just doing it. It's something you have to constantly, that mindset work, that growth work, it's always, a daily thing.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm thinking about, as we said, the topic today is fears, and really kind of looking when it comes to starting businesses, or, just putting yourself out there in general. Yes. What do you think, what holds people back? Like, what's the thing, the fear that's holding them?
I think it depends on what point you're at. To transition from military life to full-time mom to starting a business. I'm starting a business is like I'm starting over. So like I'm a freshman in college. Well, when I started my business, initially I had a boutique. So I was almost 40 when I started that business. But when I became a life coach, I was over 40. And I was like, I'm the baby. I have young ladies that are way younger than me, like some that could be my child, teaching me how to run business. And so it makes you question yourself. It makes you doubt yourself. Am I smart enough? Can I do this? You know, all of those kind of things. And then as grounded as I thought I was, that self-doubt creeps in. And it's like, can I be my true self, or do I need to be like them? Do I need to do things that way? So that was a rough patch to get over as well. And I just had to remember, you're starting something new. It is like you're a freshman. So go to your freshman classes and do what you need to do. So yeah.
You are preaching to the choir with that one, with that fear of like, am I enough? Am I, you know, and then the whole, because I just turned 37 recently, and so I'm like, am I too old to be you know, trying to break into this and do that? And so really facing that and moving forth, and still, like you said, taking it like you're a freshman in school and starting over. What tips do you have for women that are kind of struggling with that, kind of with that imposter syndrome?
Right. First of all, remember what you know. You might not be an expert in this new field, but you have so much knowledge from life. You know, when I go back to think about at 37, what all I had learned and been through, of course you have what you need. Absolutely. And I had to remind myself, girl, why are you tripping? Even if you've been a parent, if you've been a stay-at-home mom, a lot of times women minimize what they do. You're keeping people alive. Like, it doesn't get any bigger than that. You're keeping people alive. You're running a household. You're doing logistics. You're doing accounting. You're a personal chef. You're a cleaner. There's so much that you do. So hold on to what you have learned. Hold on to your knowledge. Hold on to the life experience. Don't be afraid to say, I'm new. Don't be afraid to say, I need help. And most importantly, get support. Because no one tells you entrepreneurship can be a lonely place.
Extremely.
So don't be afraid to get that support. I can tell my husband all kind of stuff, and he just, yeah, that sounds good. Can you tell me the truth? Like, I need real feedback here. I don't want to be your wife right now. I want you to really look at this from an objective point of view and give me an honest answer. And he's like, I'm still not going to do that. Yes, babe, it's okay. It looks great. You know, no, I had to reach outside of that. And that's one thing I do love about Make It Happen, Sis, because we're a collective of women, business-minded, entrepreneurial, go-getting women, and you need to have that support system. And don't just have it. Lean in. Yes, use your support system.
Definitely. And it's funny you're talking about with your husband, because I know with my family it was the same way when I first started. I present things and they're like, oh, it's amazing. And you know yourself, you're already overcritical. And I'm like, I know it's not. Like, tell me something. And it's nice to be around people who kind of think that same way and who can kind of help you take things to the next level. Like, absolutely. I do love that. And so with your business, so you've been doing it, I'd say, I can't do math, so it's like
it's 3 years
about
now.
3 years. Okay, so 3 years now. So still pretty fairly new. Absolutely. Kind of. Do you think that there are fears that you right now that sometimes you got to like check and be like, okay?
I have struggled with, I won't say struggled, I have dealt with fears of expansion. When I had my boutique, it was about clothes. It was about clothes and accessories. No one was worried about me. Like, Charmaine, do you have that in size such and such? That's all they were concerned with. I could deal with that. I didn't have to be the face. Exalting Wellness is all about me. So it's one of those things where, okay, you're speaking at an event and you have an audience of 3,000 people. Okay, I don't like public speaking to begin with, you know, so I had to deal with that. Like, okay, do you want to stay in this little bubble, or do you want to let God use you to the capacity that he wants to use you? And so I've had to go back and forth with that. I've really had to lean on my relationship with God to be able to navigate this journey, because I didn't want this journey. This was not my idea at all. It's like, okay, well, you got me here, you got to get me through. And so the expansion part, it can cause a little anxiety for me. Otherwise, I feel really grounded now, and I'm thankful for that. Now I have no problem coming in and saying, well, this is, you know, something that I deal with or I struggle with, or, you know, like I said, I'm relatively new. You don't have to be intimidated about anything. I am just like you. If we spend enough time together, you'll know she's good. It's not a problem. So thankfully, I'm at this point.
Yeah, and that's good. And I like how you said, faith is a huge part of it. Like, you can't go through this world without some type of faith.
Something.
And you said, with your support system, how has yours looked like for you? I know you have your spouse. So.
Yes. My mother is always been my biggest cheerleader. Even if she doesn't understand what I'm doing, she's there. She's like, hey, I sent such and such your phone number. Mom, I don't do that. But it's okay. She thinks I can do all of it. I love her. She's huge support. My local community is a huge support as well. I think my first year and a half were classmates and coworkers. And the fact that they trusted me enough to be vulnerable, sickness and illness and those kind of struggles are very personal and private. Again, in the Black and brown community, we keep things to ourselves. We don't want to be vulnerable and open. And so the fact that they have trusted me with those things, I will always and forever be thankful. So yeah.
Al, you mentioned when you talked about your mom, you made me think something. I know some people, they don't really know the difference when it comes to like life coach, counselor, psychiatrist. Like, how do you explain that to people? And they're like, okay, well, I need counseling. Like, you're here, help me.
I get those calls all the time. And then I also refer clients to counselors because I'm clear. Like, first of all, a life coach does not diagnose. There's not going to be any medication of any form. And then also, we're not going and digging up your past. We're not looking at the upbringing and previous traumas and things like that. A life coach is going to help you with what you're struggling with right now to put tools in place so that you can overcome those things, reach your goals, and possibly set new goals. So that is really the clear line. When you need a counselor, it's something from the past, it's some past trauma, it's a diagnosis, those kind of things. And so I work in tandem with counselors. I have clients who see both of us. And I laugh because a lot of times I'll say, well, what did your counselor say? Well, she said what you said. Okay. Just as long as we're on the same wavelength, we're good to go.
Yeah. So. What would you say? Because I do know, especially, within our communities and stuff, a lot of people don't like the whole counseling aspect. They don't like the therapist and things like that. What would you say to people who try to like bypass that? And they're like, okay, well, I just want to talk to you. Give me the goals if they haven't worked through all the things they need to work through.
And I had to learn this as well because a lot of times when you're new in business, you don't want to push anyone away. Like, I need to get money, I need to get paid, I have bills to pay, so I'm taking everyone. I don't do that. This is your life. This is a major thing. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to being a life coach. I am not going to try to tell you anything that would hurt or harm you. If I don't feel comfortable, I will let you know. There are kind of some red flags that pop up, and that's why I think it's important to get training. Because if you know, like I know, anyone can call themselves a coach. Okay, I overcame this, now I'm a life coach. Great. I appreciate the fact that that's what you think, but I feel like you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your knowledge and your training, because if you don't, you can mess someone up. And, that's just not a road that I'm willing to go down. So I have invested a lot in my knowledge. I will always be in school. I told my husband I'm definitely a lifetime learner. I will always refresh, go to seminars, take classes, get certificate. My wall looks crazy already. But I'm going to do that because I really feel like what I do is important.
Thank you. And I think that keeps kind of like the passion going for it too. Absolutely. When you're constantly going and learning something new, because you can always learn something new, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You said something that made me, when we were talking about, those, because there are coaches out there that, they're YouTube coaches, and, I was in a life-threatening accident, and now, I'm teaching everybody stuff. How do you navigate that? Because I feel like as, someone who, so I'm not a coach, and I've looked at different coaches and stuff, and for some of us, we can kind of see the ones where you're like, okay, I know that they know what they're talking about, and other ones it's pretty obvious. But how do you help, I guess, clients, and then how do you yourself kind of deal with that out there, that in the industry?
Right. I can't overthink it because I can't control it anyway. People are going to do what they can to make money. That's across the board. That's just how we live right now. And it's easy to slap a label, especially in a field that is not, there's no governments legislation or anything like that in place. So for me, I want people to be able to see that I've invested in my education and my training. So when they ask me, I have it on my website, but I have that information out there so that if you're trying to compare, or just like you said, you're looking at someone and you're like, well, where's your credentials? You know, what have you done? What is your education? What is your training? And that's to anyone. If you don't see that, if you ask the question and they don't have the answer, that's a red flag. You don't want to invest your time, your emotions, or your finances in an area because it can be costly. I think we talked about it a little bit before. There are coaches out there that charge $5,000 a month. 1 month. Wait, what am I getting for $5,000 a month? So, right. Exactly. So you have to know how to do your due diligence and do your research, just like with any other investment. I won't even say big purchase. It truly is an investment.
Definitely. Are there any tips you would give for women? You kind of just gave a few. So for people that are looking to get a life coach or maybe get some type of guidance, navigation through, like, do you think it's helpful when, I know a lot of us, we just get on the internet, Google some stuff, watch some videos, and then again, you don't know where the people are getting their information from. What would you say to someone who's like, I think I need this, but I don't know, kind of thing?
I would treat it like you treat writing a paper in school. Like, your professor will tell you Wikipedia is not a reputable source. Same. Like, YouTube is not a reputable source necessarily. See what that person's background is. Like I said, really do your due diligence in figuring out, okay, should I invest my time with them? Should I invest my money with them? Those kind of things. And then it's hard to be honest about what you need. It's hard for us to be honest with ourselves. A lot of times we try to self-diagnose, self-treat, and then you prolong the problem. So don't do that, especially in this business world, because you will do free webinars and masterminds and all the free, and it's 2 years later, and you could have just invested your $2,000 and had what you needed. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. You can always talk to a doctor too. If you have, your PCM, your primary care doctor, find out what their thoughts are. I have had clients, doctors say, your labs are great. Who did you work with? Who helped you with this? I've had several doctors speak on the importance of life coach, health and wellness coach. My VA doctor, are you working for the VA? I don't want to work for the VA, so no, I'm not. Well, you're doing great. Well, thank you very much. So we just have to really get serious about our health, be intentional about seeking help, and do your research.
And I'm really relieved to hear you say that doctors are saying, because I know, at least my experiences in the past working with doctors like that, it's not like that. The life coach is an accessory, kind of if you want to do that, do that. And I feel like sometimes going that route is probably better than just letting doctors throw different medications and stuff at you. So
I think it should be a partnership. I think that when you have legitimate life and health and wellness coaches, and the doctor can see the impact, that starts to change things. But it's going to take a long time for those things to change. I have had to deal with some of that in my personal care even. Like my neurologist, I go to the Shepherd Center, and my neurologist, for the first 2 years, they were asking me, well, don't you want to get on medication? First of all, who wants to get on medication? Second, if you just told me there's no disease progression, you're doing great, you're walking great, you just did a 5K, all of those things, why would you even ask me? Why? So then they ask me, well, what do you do? And that's an open door. And I love that. I love that. Open the door so I can talk to you about it. So I can show you that a change of your lifestyle and of your mindset can really be impactful on your health.
Do you think, because you mentioned 5K in there too, so do you think that I'm assuming being in the Air Force, so you were relatively healthy when you did get this diagnosis. Do you think, I know your mindset work, things like that, but what has kind of kept you, because I know other people, which I'm going to ask you if you've noticed this, in the Air Force I've noticed there are a lot of MS diagnoses, especially among Black people. So I find that interesting.
It is.
But do you think that, other than mindset work, what kind of helped keep you still walking, still able to do daily activity?
A couple of things. Of course, my family. I have a range of children from 7 being the youngest to 25 being the oldest. And so I have to keep up with her. And then I have a 6-year-old son too. So between the two of them, they're going to keep me busy. And then I also feel like tapping back into my relationship with God and my Christian living, I feel like He has more for me. So I have to do my part. I can't be a speaker and a teacher and do all of this and not represent that. And so I think that's important. As a coach, we see it all the time as well. You see people that you're looking at them and you're like, you're a health coach? I don't know that you would be my choice, and that's just being real, just like doctors. Exactly. You go to the doctor's office and I'm like, you're going to tell me about diet? How is your blood pressure? So I feel like you need to represent what you teach.
Definitely.
Because if that's a conflict, then it's not going to help you. It's not going to serve you. Definitely. So those are 2 big things. My family, and then just really wanting to be representative of someone who practices what they preach.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up shortly. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity kind of to tell people where they can reach you, if they want more information, how to find you, kind of thing.
Absolutely. All things Exalting Wellness. I did what my business coach said and kept it real simple. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Exalting Wellness. That's the easiest way to reach out to me. My website is exaltingwellness.com. And I would just love to talk to anyone. If any of this has been helpful, if you have any questions, any of those kind of things, I love to answer those because we have to kind of debunk some beliefs. And definitely. So it's a great opportunity.
All right. And then if you could give one final piece of advice for those who may be fearful to start something new, what would you say?
It's already in you.
I like that.
It's already in you. I feel like many times that self-doubt just takes over. And if you're at this point in life, you've already overcome so much, and you can learn something new. You can do something new. You can be the legacy changer in your family. You can be the first. So be the first.
There you have it. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.